Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I am Mr. C, a Roku critic. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What a treat we have for you today. What a treat. It's a little long for us, so no too much rambling. But if you do enjoy the podcast, please do give it a like, and I'll allow you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing the Fire and the Moth. All right. Okay. Welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We do discuss Nollywood every Sunday. I think 6 p.m. What? Sometimes we discuss Nollywood movies, like today, where we'll be discussing The Fire and the Moth, the new Nemshare product, and directed by Taiwo. We'll discuss what we liked in the good, we'll discuss what we didn't like in the bad, and we'll disagree and push back and do a summary. All right. Okay. Elizabeth, so you can go and tell us what you liked about The Fire and the Month. The Fire and the Moth.
Oh, unfortunately, I did not write like I wrote last week. So which really means that I'm going to be talking about what I think. So if I ramble, the way I've always been rambling, you will collect it like that. So what's the first thing? First thing I actually liked watching it is this crispiness of the film. There is something about it that felt refreshing, and I just don't mean the story itself. I mean the visual. The visual is very, 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 very. I shouldn't use plenty varies like that. It's really nice. The visual is very, very good. The visual and the tone. So it's well crafted. It maintains like consistent tone throughout. In fact, I don't know. I think subconsciously I was on a lookout for, that's the thing with Nigerian films. Sometimes sometimes they just, pop up and show out. As in, they will just remind you out that also that, but the noticeable strength for me was the visual tone. And so I want to talk also about the acting. The acting is measured. And I don't know if I'm putting this as part of the good because I think the director was going for something here. And I don't know if overall it worked together for good. But the fact that all the acting from everyone was measured. So you can see that there is nobody was trying to, do the Nollywood gra or try to shine or stand out. Everybody seemed to have, measured, including even what's his name? Tayo. The last time I saw Tayo, I didn't think it was that great. In this one, there's something I wouldn't say this is is a better performance from what I've seen previously. But I'd say that in this one is a bit more believable, even though that is Kaz baby was distracting me. Plot wise, I'll say something about the plot. Not plot exactly. Let me see. How do I put this? There's something thematic here. I don't think it was, fully fleshed out. But I think I can see what the director was going for here, whoever wrote the story. There is a theme here about greed, right? There is a theme here about greed, and I really like that I could see that. There's a theme here about greed, about everybody wanting this one thing and they sacrifice anything for it. It felt like everybody who just comes in contact or knows about this bronze earth thing wants it for themselves. Everybody wants it for the money. No one is even trying to throw this shit. Okay, apart from the dad who, of course, he didn't come in contact with it. Again, they use expression to tell us that the son shouldn't be there, but I ramble. Um, I like that premise in which there is no here. It tried to the director of the story or whoever wrote the story tried to introduce a moral grayness here in which in which, let me just say in Yoruba, ole ni everybody, right? So try to introduce that. I thought the layering, yeah, for messaging something, yeah, makes sense. Overall, the story this film knows what it is in terms of tone. I was grateful for that, and maybe because the last film I watched at the cinema, I was not exactly sure what Tony was. Everything was happening all at once. But this film knew what Tony was, consistently maintained it. It feels small. It feels like I'm praising. You shouldn't praise a fish for swimming, but at this point, you might as well. So this is what I like. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, okay. All right. Not a bad list, to be honest. Not a bad list. Thank you. Alana, do you want to tell us some of the things you liked about the Fire and the Moth?
Yeah. Good evening, guys. So some things I liked. I First of all, it was a visual experience. I liked the shots. I liked the cinematography. It was colorful. I liked the location, like the settings and stuff like that. Because first of all, I'm just always glad to see greenery in Nollywood. I really enjoy anything that just show me the farms, show me hills, show me greenery. And they really invested in greenery in this. I was seeing colors, so much colors, and yeah, it was a visual experience. I really enjoyed that. I also liked the performances. William Benson, Olarotimi Fakunle. I thought they had really good performances. Solid performances. Inidima as well. Amanda Ugo, and yeah, virtually everybody just, again, it was a situation of people came into work and they did the work and they went back home. Nobody was kind of like dragging down the others. So yeah, I liked the performances, some more than others, obviously. And like Elizabeth said, also it had a theme, because it was just a whole circle of everybody trying to get this artifact, and nobody cared for anything. Some people were trying to kill some other people. Sorry, people were murdered actually for this. um People were burnt. I think the only person in this that didn't really seem greedy or didn't want to go for the artifacts was, I don't know his name, and I forgot him, but Kepi Young's character was the only one that seemed like he knew this is what I'm going for. Everybody else was trying to get the artifact. So yeah, I like that. Everybody was trying to get this thing, and in the end, did anybody really get it? I'm not sure anybody really got it. Yeah, people lost. People were killed. Inidima was killed. Her sister was killed. It was just a bloodletting, but this time, like a good bloodletting. Everybody was dying for everything. It's not like they were just killing people for nothing. So yeah, I think those are the main things I like. But yeah, the visuals especially, it was an experience. I really appreciate that. It was well done.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Alana. Ishana, do you want to give us what you liked about Fire and the Moth?
Yeah, as was already stated, there was something refreshing about it, especially after the past couple of months that most of all we've seen from Nollywood has been basically YouTube material, which is just basically room and parlor romance stories. So it was good to see something that had more of a sense of scope and a certain ambition to it, and also something that explores some genre other than just romance. So that was pretty good too. I liked some of the performances. Inidima was great in it as well. Uh, w- uh, William, what's his surname these days? Is he still
William
Benson?
Benson? Yeah.
Benson,
Yeah, he was
William
credited as
Benson.
Benson here. I thought he had changed his surname at some point. Yeah, but he was good too. In general, I always find Taiwo Egunjobi's movie kind of interesting because um, he has a certain ambition that is a bit uncommon in Nollywood, and he obviously cares a lot about aesthetics in a way that is also not often seen these days in Nollywood. And he seems to have a preference for a certain kind of vintage aesthetic, which appeals to me. Like you can see the kind of cars that they use, and Dima's hair, and other things like that. There are certain things that he does that tries to give it a sort of a vintage look, and I appreciated that as well. Let me see. I think I'll stop there.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Uchenna. Rotimi, did you have things you wanted to say about the Fire and the Moth?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe the first thing that sticks out is kind of like it's really Taiwo's his direction. If like you have been watching like from Confusion Hour to Green Fever now to this, the Fire and the Moth, there seems to be like a progression in his like his directing. And what I mean that in terms of like it's getting closer and closer to me, he looks as though I would say that each project there seems to be like an improvement on each project. You understand? Even in terms of this one is probably the widest scope in terms of scale that he has done, even though it's still contained because they have this whole the environment, the location with which is kind of like supposed to be like a border town where there's a lot of greenery and land and everything. So it's still kind of contained. The is like in terms of the production, but it's wider. It still feels wider, especially when they have the foreign location with the French guy that sends Jimmy to go after him and everything. So um, I think that what is that he has a voice and it's like like I don't think that this is necessarily my bad, but it's like I don't think it's actually there yet, but I can see where he's going. So he has a way that so it's almost like you're seeing his voice emerge and it's getting louder and louder with each project. I really like I've always liked William Benson. I showed up last like 2 days Tuesday ago. I saw Red Circle and William Benson too again was one of the like on my standout performance. So anything he is, he just brings a gravitas, like you understand. He has that just subtle authority that he portrays and everything in any role that he's playing. Also, Falcon Level to me again, also playing this kind of semi-corrupt cop and everything. I really like the whole thing when this guy kind of when he was talking with Willie and then the other officer kind of accusing him of corruption and he forms this whole indignation like, what's this? And I'm like, okay, this is that whole we know who you are, but the fact that you have to play this up as though okay, you're not corrupt and everything, that was nice. Um the the I posted it in the comments, but I really got a whole "No Country for Old men" vibes, and I know it's not a word like exactly comparable, but in terms of Jimmy gives me the Javier Bardem, even when he has the flamethrower, Javier had that instrument for killing cows, so I'm like, oh, and he's pursuing so. Tayo's character is almost like this guy. What's the name of Thanos guy? Forgetting this guy. The main guy that that was running away with the money in No Country for Old Men, and he's like, okay, I'm chasing this guy, and this guy is moving from place to place, and I'm hunting him down. Um, it's the ending kind of like the ending. I think the cool thing about the ending at the end, the last scene. Our last scene is really actually the first scene. So when you see the first scene, when the guy is running through the door and is on fire, you're like, okay, this is the beginning of the movie. Whereas you don't know you're watching, you're going to end up at that beginning is actually the end. So we now go through the whole journey and how we got to the end. So that was kind of like that was interesting. It's different. I'm sure that kind of ending can frustrate some kind of people, but another way is like, okay, this is kind of like it's not your usual ending. Maybe you're waiting for one final showdown with Jimmy and Tayo, but it's like a flip that's okay, you held on to this thing, and Tayo's motivation all the while was to sell the bronze head so that he could pay for the operation for his dad, which now at the end of the day that Jimmy ends up killing his dad. So all the effort of running, staying alive, being chased by police, having deals go left and right was all for naught because Jimmy ends up killing his dad. So what was the point of you having this bronze head? Eventually, you now even lose the person that you care the most about in the world that you are even doing all this thing for. So that was a nice twist on an ending. So yeah, that's probably my good if I remember anything later. But yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Rotimi. Ikwe, do you want to Tell us what you liked about Fire and the Moth.
Hello, good evening. Yes, what I liked. So, um, I appreciate that everyone has been saying pretty much somewhat the same thing because that was exactly what I said when I reviewed it on YouTube. When I was watching it, I, 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 I exactly like everyone said. I could see where he was going to, but it was just. I appreciate that like he gets an E for effort, but that's the director. But I thought it was not very well done. There was a lot of story in too little time, and at the most important point.
We're just doing the things we like at this point. To we'll come
Okay,
to
yeah.
the.
So the things that I like was I liked the vibe. I liked the vibe. It only reminded, though unfortunately, it only reminded me a little of my own experience with border towns. I like the acting in general, especially from the cyber guy. He was very taciturn, which usually covers a multitude of sins, like with bad acting or something like that. So if you don't talk, then we don't know that you cannot act, right? If you just look funny and vexed all the time. So I really liked that. I liked his character because of that, just simply because I didn't have to hear him too much. It was my first time seeing the person, but I didn't know who the person was. I don't know. He reminded me of Kunle Afolayan for some reason, and I liked Inedima's acting. Then I also liked the Terminator guy. I don't know if that's the William Benson that someone just mentioned. I liked his build. I like the way he behaved. I like the way he carried himself. I thought it was really actually he's probably my favorite character in this stuff. I was pleased to see Ola Rotimi, who I just recently saw in Suki. I think for the first time, I think I saw him in Suki of recent, and I really liked his acting, and I was pleased to see him here. So I think it had a lot of good talent. I think it had very good acting, good talent all around, a good setting, right? Though I don't always like to overplay the setting because many people who call it good are people who have never left Lagos or have never left like a city. If you go outside Nigeria, outside Lagos, that's pretty much how Nigeria looks, right? If you go outside the major cities, that's pretty much how Nigeria looks. It's a bush, nothing is ever in this thing. But yeah, it was nice. I saw that the director had vision. Had vision. That's it from me.
Okay. No, thanks. Thanks, Ekwe. We'll come to the bite in a bit, and I'm sure it sounds like you have things to say there. But thank you. Praise. Do you want to tell us some things you liked about the Fire and the Moth?
Yeah, thank you. So I feel like people have said some of the things I wanted to say, but for me, I think what stood out for me was the cinematography, and I think a lot of people have said that it was very clean to watch. And I'm not somebody that watches film and look out for the cinematography. Cinematography, I'm always like concerned about like the storytelling, and I thought it was very clean. It was very pretty to watch, very beautiful. And aside that, I liked that there was a certain way he captured, this place. And it was very refreshing because Nollywood is very into urban life these days, like Bridge and rich people. And so it was very refreshing for me to see like farmers in this film because they're actually farmers. Like agriculture is like a main occupation in Nigeria. So to see that, like you actually saw farmers and you saw so much greenery it was very amazing for me to see. So I like that we moved away from capturing wealthy people all the time. And I think somebody mentioned this, I also liked the theme of greed. It stuck to that and explored it deeply to the end. Everybody wanted like a piece of it. It knew what its theme was. And I think it was my mama that said it already, that the film knew what it was. And it was important because coming from a film that I watched recently, it was very refreshing to see that this film knew what it was. It knew what the themes were. And I really liked the acting of somebody said Terminator. But I watched it with my sister and she kept calling him barbecue man. So I think his acting he was just wicked from beginning to the end. I would like to see what's behind, the exterior, the interior. Which one is the answer? But yeah, I think that's what I really liked. I liked the cinematography, the way they captured urban life, and the acting of that guy. And I think the main guy was also cool because I saw him in Adele Madadi, and well, we thank God for the improvements. Is all I can say. So yeah, thanks.
Um, all right. Thanks, Praise. Matt, do you want to tell us some things you liked about the Fire and the Moth?
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty much mentioned cinematography. I think it was very interesting. I really like the wide frames, the aerial shot, and I like that the town or the city or the village that they were in, the setting, it didn't feel like just like a backdrop. It was very much a part of the story and was like a living character in the story of itself. So I really enjoyed that, and I think this is probably Taiwo Faniran's best performance that I've watched him play out of all the many things I've seen him in. I think he did very decent. And to me, anyways, the star was Inidima. She just brought something like very necessary to his character and like a little spark in their kind of alliance or whatever that was. And just how everyone seemed to want a piece of that bronze head. Every single person wanted their chunk of it. And I mean, the payoff wasn't there to me, but everybody, we kind of saw the consequences of them wanting the thing and how everything ended up. So I really liked it, and cinematography, love it. I feel like every time, what's his name, Toby Egunjobi, I believe, I might be wrong. Every time he does something, he's getting better and better. I think I agree with Rotimi on that. He's just getting better. There's a clear vision in what he's doing and what he's trying to achieve, and I wish him only good things.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. Sorry, Mrs. C. What did you like about the Fire and the Moth?
I really liked the locations, all of the green, the bush, the forest, the also just the, I don't know if I'm gonna call it, is it the set design? Because I really liked how Inidima's house looked. I liked how the policeman's house looked. I liked the outside of his house as well, with the cars that were, covered, and just those little indications of his, life of crime or his double life as a policeman. I thought those were all really good. I enjoyed that. I somewhat liked the theme, not the theme, the tone of the film. And again, I'll expand more on it in my bad, but I think I really could have enjoyed the tone a bit more if a few things were tweaked. I enjoyed the performances. I think I've seen Olarotimi in a few things. I remember him from Gangs of Lagos. I always mix up Gangs of Lagos and King of Boy. From Gangs of Lagos, I thought he was great there. He was in Kunle Afolayan's Recall. I thought he was pretty good there as well, and it was quite a different role for him to play. And then we're back again to something somewhat closer to his Gangs of Lagos type character. But I really enjoyed him in this. I thought he was pretty good. And he brought a lot of comedy to this film, actually. And I remember saying something about liking the tone, but I loved the little bits of comedy he threw in there. I thought it was just great, and it didn't seem like it was breaking me out of the film. It seemed quite consistent with the character he was playing, so I really enjoyed that. I thought, what's his name, Taiwo, who played Saba, I think he also did well. We had to see him for most of the film, so for the most part, I think he did well. Then William Benson, I always enjoy William Benson. I don't know if it's the combination of being so good to look at, so tall, and having that voice. But yeah, always works for me. And we had all of 2 seconds of Kepi, but still always enjoy him as well. And this is close to Green. I like the intention, but I like the premise. I like the premise of this film. I tend to enjoy things that feel quite grounded, or try to be as grounded as possible in Nigerian reality, and centering something around one of the Ife bronzes. I thought, I quite liked that. So yeah, I liked that about it. But yeah, that's about what I liked.
Okay, let me read some other people's likes so far. Tosin Bola says, I love the cinematography. Location felt refreshing, and the casting for me was impressive. Ade says, likes big on its core theme of greed, and it builds well around it. We need more focused films like that. The camera work speaks, the dialogue and the profanity, the setting. We need more scenes with William Benson and Olaritimi Fakune. Agreed. Still Human says, things I liked. We got a different vibe, and the movie stayed on theme. The location, Jean-Louis was not doing much, so he was okay to watch. All right. Terrence says, likes the opening sequence. I was instantly pulled in. The fireman assassin, he was quite scary. William Benson and Olaritimi Fakune got to be in a scene together. Taiwo Faniya was actually good in this compared to Omodadi, Sabah's father. That man can act. All right. And the head says, The Fire and the Moth has a total vibe that feels almost like nothing else in Nollywood besides another Taiwo Egunjobi film. If the author theory is ever applicable to Nollywood, we're seeing it in TFTM and with Egunjobi. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for all of your comments. Sorry, I'm trying to get. Does anybody else see Inko on this space? Because I'm getting messages.
Yeah.
I'm getting messages that she is on, but I can't see her. So I don't. Anyway, sorry, Inko. I still can't see you if you're on the space. But anyway, the things that I liked, I think everybody has said basically every aspect of it. For better or worse, Taiwo definitely has an eye that is, whether you like it or not, this is what I mean for better or worse, actually, is whether you like it or not, Taiwo definitely has a style that he is becoming that he's becoming known for, and he's developing his eye artistically. He's trying to find himself. Certainly, there's at least some. You can see that this is somebody who's actually trying something specific in the filmmaking world, as opposed to, like Uchenna said, like Room and Palace stuff, where it feels like somebody has an idea of plot, and it's always okay. How can we make this plot as bombastic as possible? And that's usually how our films kind of go. But this is an attempt at a lot of filmmaking, and it is shown even in things like there isn't a lot of dialogue in the first 15 to 20 minutes of this, and that's intentional. Like I remember making the No Country for Old Men comparison that Rotimi said in like I don't know, about minute 8, and it wasn't because I even sort of, I know like he had something that somebody was chasing him up, chasing him for, but it wasn't even that. It was a little bit the scope. It was a little bit the scope, but it was mostly how much dialogue there wasn't in the film, and that was very noticeable. It's something that in Nollywood we barely do. So I think that is really interesting from a Nollywood perspective, having somebody just really attempt filmmaking in a more broader term than what we usually see with other Roman films. And a bunch of people have said things about the acting and specific actors, and I agree with all of them. I think looks wise, I only think of him as Professor Lucien from Citation, which I thought he was very not good in, or he made me cringe in many places in that. But here I really bought his mannerism, and I I didn't think I could enjoy Professor Lucien, to be honest, after watching Citation in something else, or like, I'd said, okay, maybe this is the limitation of this, but I guess that's where different directing and different casting can kind of pull either the best or the worst out of someone. But yeah, but I don't have much to add on top of, like, people have said it. I did like the look of this a lot, as well, as much as a lot with others. And yeah, anyway, so those were the things I liked. Let's turn to the things that we did not like. And Elizabeth, do you want to tell us what?
Yeah, Elizabeth wants to tell you. Okay, so first, let me just say something that personally, I do not like. As much as possible, I would like Nigerian filmmakers not to take inspiration from critically acclaimed Hollywood movies or critically acclaimed movies that I have access to. I don't know how that will work, because what it does for me is that it forces me to identify like huge gaping holes that I'd like not to. Like if I was watching this for the first time, I'd like for me to watch it with my eyes without trying to excuse me every single thing that I watch, because it will magnify the shortcomings rather than elevate the production. So I don't know how that will work, but let me start with that. The greatest crime here, people of God, is that this movie is dull. It's dull. I mean, the tone is consistent. I did say that, and it's somber. It's slow. It's measured. But the biggest crime is that what that does is how dull it becomes. It fails to deliver that urgency and tension that is inherent for this kind of crime thriller. Is that it? I didn't check the genre, but it feels like it. So the person at the stake, first, the person is notably, it's not notably, the tone is consistent. Even the pace is consistent, it's just slow all through. But it drags where it should thrill. So consequently, the stakes or whatever is revolving around it, that stolen bronze head, does not feel sufficiently high. I dozed off a couple of times watching this. I'm sorry. I had to bring myself back in. I was like, and I had like 2-3 hours. So I'm not to watch it before this call. So I didn't have like enough to marinate because I was really struggling to make sure that I meet up. And I didn't want to DNF because I DNF the last I think Green Fever. But I thought, let's say that I had so much on my plate then and I was not looking to add more to it. So here it's just, I don't know, it just lacks that depth to make the central conflict truly compelling. And I feel like I don't feel, I know. Our there's a lack of world order here. Again, when you're juxtaposing, if you juxtapose this with No Country for Old Men, which I'd hate to do, is that there is a central theme there about somebody who is obsessed with law and order. There's a word that we see in this world. Again, I don't want to juxtapose. But what that feels is that this film's border town, it feels underdeveloped in terms of the rules that are governing it. It just feels somebody stole something and there's police and there's customs and they're just looking for it. And so there's a lack of defined societal structure in the way I see it, so that such that even in the end, where even after Saba gets that bronze head, despite the significant loss, which is his dad, it does not carry the intended weight for me, or it doesn't provide the satisfactory resolution. Yeah, it got that. It got it. In fact, he could have just gotten it, carried his bag, run, go and sell it, and carry the money. Your father is an old man. He could have died. Nothing will happen. Because, I mean, there is a seemingly no further obstacle that is stopping you from profiting from it. I'm sorry your daddy died, but it diminishes the impact of his sacrifice, because I really don't know so much about, oh, my daddy is sick, he's old, he's sick, I need money for him. I don't think there's enough to tie me in to buying that is reason, whatever. And our antagonist, underdeveloped. As the friend said on this call, it was Studi. So we are trying, there's an attempt again, No Control Old Men. We're trying to, this psychopathic killer just goes around burning people to barbecuing them. It's just, I just feel that it's just psychopathic without any discernible or That's intriguing for me. Underlying motivation is just that, like, I'm sure there is an explanation somewhere. I'm sure somebody can pull or something. I was just not feeling it. It wasn't effectively drawn out, at least for the audience, and which makes it difficult to connect with this. Truly, this guy is unnerving. This guy is psychopath. Is a psychopath. It's crazy. I just cannot connect with that. It's just not. I don't know if I don't want to use the word. It's not possible, and which is again is the same thing. We're talking about the antagonist now. Our protagonist too. There's a lack of, like I said, insufficient urgency and motivation for him. The stakes around the bronze to Saba, it just does not feel high. I don't know. There's something that I'm missing. So I don't know. I know I'm using the word I don't know so much, but which makes it again, maybe it's the world building. I mean, the scope of this story, while ambitious, is it ultimately traps the audience in a world that lacks genuine depth. So the environment, everything looks visually appealing, but you don't fully realize that you need to have an immersive experience, to support the grander themes that you're hinting at. So you're hinting at this, there's this grid, there's this Olini everybody thing, and there's just not enough for that to look like there's something there. I mean, it's probably there's no understanding of what drove this guy. Nothing. Sorry, before anybody, don't raise your hand yet. Pacing and genre mismatch. I think I talked about that. So, which brings me to what I mentioned: the tone, that tonal mismatch for the genre. It's consistency, but this is a double-edged sword in the consistency. It's just there's a privilege. The tone is consistent, but it's just unfortunate that it's just dull. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just dull. I think that's what I can say. It's just dull. Then there's something that I found funny. I don't think it was intentional, but there's an inconsistency there with the the CGI fire. When you're looking at it, there's a giant that the CGI fire against the otherwise beautiful natural greenery. It's such a notable flaw that it draws you out of that experience. I don't know if that happened for other people, but it just felt weird to me. It just took me out of the entire experience. But overall, I don't know. Yeah, the greatest crime is how dull it is, and lack of character motivations everywhere. Everybody's just a thief. I don't know how that works because I would expect a more layered, because you're dealing with a thematic thing here, and it just feels like you've trapped us in this world, no depth in it, and we're just bored to tears. Yeah, that's it for me.
Right. Bored to tears. All right. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Elizabeth. Alana, do you want to tell us what you do not like about the Fire and the Moth?
Yeah, I'll be standing on existing protocol with Elizabeth. I agree with the whole idea that it lacked urgency actually. The genre, I believe I just checked, is some drama and suspense, and I did not feel any suspense at any point in this movie. Every single thing that happened just felt like, okay, yeah, that's how it was supposed to happen. Like I saw it coming. I shouldn't have seen it coming. There was just it wasn't elevated. There were scenes that should have been elevated or could have been elevated rather, and everything just the pacing was just okay. It's chill. Everything was just there was no way where I just was okay. Like maybe my heart was in my. I didn't want to jump. I didn't think, oh, they were going to catch him at this point. And there were so many scenes where we could have had that, and we didn't have that. I don't know what could have been responsible for that, but it just was. It was just like I said, it just gave everybody came to work and it was just done. So yeah, that was the main thing I didn't like. Yeah, that's what came to my mind for now.
Okay. Thanks, Alana. Rotimi, do you want to give us what you do not like?
Oh, Elizabeth, Elizabeth has kind of nailed. I'm probably going to say it in a different kind of way, but Elizabeth has kind of nailed some of the major, just one of the major things. The only thing I was, there are some specific things that I was kind of noticing that they were kind of like throwing me off. So like the first scene when Taiwo gets Saba gets the head, when the policemen show up and they seem to have killed the other guys. Now you're hearing the gunshots, and like Saba comes out of his car and is ducking. There's this weird thing, and it's also still based on like what's the limitations of what we can do in production. But if somebody is firing a shot, at least if it's not hitting, at least he hits something. Either it hits the car, it hits the glass, it hits something around you. You're hearing they are clearly shooting at something, but it's not hitting anything. So you know they are shooting, but it's not hitting anything. Then he's running away. He gets hit in the shoulder. Then the policemen are chasing him. Then for whatever reason, the policemen stop. And I'm like, my mind is like, boss, this guy is not so far away now. You can still chase him now. He's just like 50 meters. If you are going to capture, he's not far. You have shot him now. Chase him. He's not far away. Then kind of convenient that the car that wouldn't start, like wouldn't start when Taiwo was trying to get it, when the gunfight starts. Suddenly, okay, they can start it. So that kind of convenience. Then I don't know. Maybe I missed it. So you know when Taiwo goes into in his house, there he holds them hostage in the bathroom. You know, first he went to Rotimi Falconer's house, picks up the head. He's chasing him in the forest. It's like, hey, you stop there in the forest. Next, you know, we're in his house. I didn't see when Taiwo got the gun. I don't know. I'm beginning to think that I missed it, but I didn't see. And I was like, did this guy have this gun all along? When did he get this gun? Did he get this gun? So suddenly now he has a gun and he's holding them hostage. And I'm like, when did this guy get this gun? Did he always have this gun, or like he found gun? Just where did this gun come from? So that was for me. Maybe I missed it. Then you know when Rotimi Falconer's character comes and is like, he comes and he spots. He's like, oh, who is he? He's looking for somebody. Where's it? Then he suddenly discovers blood. And I'm like, you know what somebody was, and what Elizabeth and Olana has been talking about tension. It's almost like, you know, he's walking by, then he notices the blood. You also see the blood. Then it's almost like the blood is a giveaway that, oh, this guy is here. That is the thing that heightens the tension. But you don't see the blood. He just says there's blood. You don't see it. Then he suddenly touches it on the floor, like, oh, there's blood here. And so those are those small things that, like, even within what you're trying to do, there are elements of, like, even visually, even within the visuals that everybody's talking about, there are elements in the visual storytelling. I'm like, okay, how, like now, like even like the scene with the bathroom. I don't know why. I don't know if that lighting is the right mood for that place, for the purple with the colored lighting, since it gives it a different style, everything. But I don't know if it's the right mood. So and then almost like everybody has said before, about the motivation and the conclusion. Like I understand the ending, how it works, but it's almost like it doesn't feel like a very strong resolution. It's not the strongest resolution for me. And so the whole point of everything now, his dad dies, and Taiwo and Jimmy don't face off and everything. So it just ends with, okay, nobody got anything. You don't sell it. He doesn't capture you, and the man dies. So nobody got what they wanted. Maybe that's the point. But it's now, so there's a part of me that goes into that whole. I always say that there are three ways I always view any piece of content: a filmmaker's eye, a critic eye, and audience eye. So my point is, like what Elizabeth is saying, is that this thing, I can see it as a filmmaker, I can see it as a critic and analyze it, I can compare it to No Country for Old Men. But as an audience, if I was an ordinary Joe, I just want to watch a film. And I know that all films are not meant to have this entertainment or whatever, everything. But even if you are watching a particular kind of film, there are some things that, like, supposed to hold you within the genre. Like, case in point, Jimmy's character. And I hate to use, that's like what Elizabeth was saying about, it feels, I don't think it was exactly No Country for Old Men. I just compared it. I don't say that's exactly what they're going for. But the main thing was that in No Country for Old Men, everybody remembers Javier Bardem's performance. I think that compared to, like, psychiatrists said that that's the closest thing to a real life, like, psycho that they've seen on screen, that's how psychos are. So Jimmy is not, he's playing the role of is the threat, but it's not scary enough for me that I'm like, oh, more, I'm scared if this guy gets hold of this guy. So it doesn't play out that way. But the thing is that I can see the growth with Taiwo's, what he's trying to do. He's growing at it. He's actually getting better at it. I would just say that it's not yet right there, but it's getting better and it's different within the Nollywood space. Somebody trying to be something different. But how does that play out if it's not yet fully there? So I'm watching him build up and grow, but it's almost like you're giving me as you're growing. So it's maybe I can give him the extension of like the leeway that okay, he's still building up what his voice is, but I can still see that okay, this is not yet the the full manifestation of everything come together and everything. It's still on the road. So it's kind of somehow for me as an audience member, like, okay, I'm not getting the very final version of what this director is, but I see where he's going. Yeah, that's basically it.
All right, thanks, Rosimi. Sorry, Uchenna, you were actually next, but I skipped you. Please tell us some of the things you had an issue with.
All right, the number one thing that I had an issue with in this movie was the score. The score was extremely grating and monotonous. And I think that's one of the things when everybody who's talking about how dull it is, a lot it is dull because of the screenplay, but I think the score makes it even more dull because it is just so monotonous and grinding and unpleasant to listen to. But the main problem I had with it is the problem that I've had with all of Egunjobi's movies, which is the script. There's something very naive about the scripts that he writes with Isaac Ayodeji. And I don't want to be cruel in saying this, but their scripts remind me of the kind of stories that you wrote when you were probably in JS2 or JS3, where you've consumed enough media to understand the rhythms of the genre that you're writing in, but you haven't had enough life experience to actually credibly fill in the details. Like, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff like that. Like, like when they're talking about the value of the bronze head, and then one guy says it's enough to buy out a small country. $1 million. It just reminds me when you're a kid, and 1 million is the highest number you can think of. I mean, a bronze head is worth like $25 million for one thing. But even if you don't know that, just the idea that $1 million is some massive amount of money, I just feel it's the way that a child thinks. And there are all sorts of lines in this thing that just feel childish to me. Like when the white guy is talking and he holds up the picture of that guy and he says, "Look at this stupid idiot. This idiot is so stupid." Or I mean, there are just so many lines that were cringeworthy to me. I mean, I think about them now. There's one where Jimmy tells the white woman, "You are pleasantly greedy." That's the sort of thing that I just feel a teenager would write thinking that sounds cool, but it doesn't really mean anything. Or the way that the doctor keeps on saying, "We need the money to give the surgery. I can't keep on giving him injections." Injections of what? I mean, what doctor talks that way? I just feel that it's the way that a child writes who doesn't really understand the world, but they understand genre to some degree. And I think there were a lot of things like that. I mean, even the opening with the man of flame. I understand that that's a startling image that, I mean, it arrests your attention, but by the time you get to the end of it, it's really meaningless. Really, I mean, I don't think the murder of the father really meant anything because there's no investment in the father. We barely heard him say anything. I don't think he had any real conversation with his son. I mean, unless I'm misremembering, the son only ever spoke to the doctor. So the father is just a prop. He doesn't mean anything. Seeing him burst into flames doesn't mean anything. And he also looked very phony in terms of the CGI. Like, first of all, this guy is on his deathbed, we're told, and then you set him aflame, and all of a sudden he's so agile and running around, running down the stairs, and all that stuff like that. And of course, none of the greenery around him catches fire. Even when Saba comes at the end and kneels down at the place where his father's been burnt, everywhere is perfectly green. There's nothing that's been burnt. So it's like I feel a lot of times that in Egunjobi's movies, I feel as if he starts with an image that he wants to project, and he's really committed to giving you certain images, but he's not able to construct a narrative that supports those images. So I don't know. I mean, I admire a lot of what he's trying to do, but I really think that he should invest in other script writers because I'm not really feeling his writing at all. Um, Let me see what else. Yeah, the plot was incoherent, really. There's no real suspense or anything to it. The characters are pretty thin. I think Inidima did the best she could with what she was given, but the characters didn't really make a lot of sense. Oh yeah, another thing about the plot just not making certain plot elements not making sense, but they want it to go in a certain direction for the genre. Why would Inidima? Why would a young woman walk into her bathroom, see a man covered in blood pointing a gun at him, pointing a gun at her, and her first thing that she says is, "I have bandages and antiseptic." These are the sort of things I just feel that a child writes. Anyway, I'm sorry. I really don't mean to be mean about that, but I just think it's bad, and the directing is not particularly good to me either. I don't know how I can say that when I said that I understand the vision, but I don't think I don't know. I guess the problems with the script affect the directing in a way. So I guess that's it really. Um, this is a very small thing. But somebody mentioned how good it was to see the farmers. But I don't know why I was just arrested by that scene with the farmer, where the farmer is sweating and everything, but the singlet he's wearing looks as if they just took it out of the packet 2 minutes before he put it on. It's just like a brand new white singlet. Things like that kind of bugged me. Uh, yeah. There are a lot of other things I didn't like about this, but I'll just stop there.
All right. No, thanks, Jenna. Honestly, I agree with a lot of what you said there. And interesting that things would pan out this way. It's almost like somebody could predict it from watching a couple of Taiwo movies. But we'll continue. Ekwe, please tell us what you did
Oh,
not
sorry.
like about
One
the
more thing I will
family.
add. I'm sorry. After watching this movie, I decided to go and watch about half of Old Country for Old Men and No Country for Old Men, and you can just see the difference. I understand what they were going for, but
What the
the
talk?
characters had personalities in No Country, and they had stakes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's to do with that thing Elizabeth said in terms of when you want to copy, be careful with copying critically acclaimed films because a lot of things that they make look easier are really, really difficult. And it might take, it takes a lot to understand why a lot of their magic works, is because it takes so much to make some things look really, really easy on the surface level. And if you try to replicate them without completely understanding them, yeah, it's just very difficult to replicate. But yeah. Ekwe, do you want to tell us what you
Yeah,
not like?
sure. So first of all, I think that the right. Oh, by the way, thank you to the previous no the two speakers before who mentioned that Saba was the guy in Ada Omodadi, the one guy that they spent like 5 minutes showing us him in his bathtub or something. Very silly character. Thanks for that. I just remembered him. So first of all, I think that the writer used the taciturnity of Saba to hide a lot of plot because I have no idea who his father is. Just some old man that is being supervised by the most dedicated doctor in the world. Because I kept wondering, why is this? Why does he care so much? Go to hospital and there must be other people dying. Why are you calling someone that is far away to ask him to bring money? If there's no money, go and find other people that you're going to kill. The story between the father, the doctor, and Saba himself was so badly done that when the father actually died, I was like, so. And so, first of all, let me just go back a bit. The border town vibes, I could see again what the director was going for, but they didn't get it at all because I served in a border town, right? And that's for my NYSC. So I know the vibes. Yes, it's a village, but it's also usually a generally very violent place. Anywhere that there are smugglers, the townspeople are not always just walking about. There are some like I've watched, I've seen, I've they are really violent. You don't want to be outside when smugglers are in. So I didn't think that they got that particular vibe where they just used an old town and then they said some stuff about museums. They just wrote a story on top of they wrote a very violent story on in a very scenic location, which just didn't fit because I had actual real life experience of what a border town might look like. Now, for the characters, the motivations didn't make too much sense to me. Like I said, because I didn't know his father. There was this nonsense about the powers that be. The thing that Basi Epion kept talking about, that the powers that be did not want the case to go on. But it was such a stupid line of writing because the powers that be didn't even know what was happening. If Olarotimi had the mask, he did not have it at some point. The immigration people are saying stop the investigation because the powers that be don't want you to give to. But Olaro to me doesn't have it. And when he called the powers that be was confused that, oh, you people are still looking for this thing. So I'm like, so why would you ask the immigration to stop if you don't even? It was so crazy to me. I'm like, who wrote this stuff? The I also had issues with the way they killed off pretty much the most entertaining characters in the movie. Almost like halfway, I'm like, why would you do that? You killed Olaro Timi, you killed this other girl, and I'm like, they are the only reason I'm still seated here in this cinema watching this thing. Because if not for them, I don't know why I'll be watching Saba not talk. So the Terminator guy, even though I liked his personality and stuff, I was very fascinated by the logistics of his travel, seeing that he did not meet any policemen and he seemed to know precisely where he was going, which I thought was pretty insane. But I guess I say that because maybe I served in a border town. You cannot just drive and just get somewhere and find someone. I'm like, how? How is he doing that? He seems to know Nigeria more than me, and I'm Nigerian. What's happening? So I also sorry, hold on. I think I made a note somewhere. Ah, yes, the scene with the with the blood on the door. Like it was getting a bit tense, and then he said, then he turned down and said, see blood, and then the lady said something about the girl on her period, and I honestly did not expect a man as violent as Olarotimi because when she said it in my mind, I was like, wait, she was on her period and squatting on the door. I'll be waiting. She didn't exercise without. I was like, what is the point of this particular storyline? Because this reason for somebody as violent as Olarotimi, who again, honestly, I was thinking about through the lens of the kind of people that I know would superintend a border town. He would have just broken into the house and just searched for the place, whether he knows the girl or not, right? Because the stakes are high. There's a museum, there's an artifact, there's a lot of money to be made. Yes, you may respect the girl because she's doing PhD or whatever, but the stakes are far more than that. There are two girls in the house. You have a gun. You just bust in because it would also occur to you that they were being held hostage. I don't know. I thought it was pretty wild. All in all, the story it did not connect. It was dull. It did not just feel feel right. And by the time that clown, no, the Terminator guy says, I will draw him like moth to a flame or whatever, and then actually uses an actual flame to kill the person's father. I'm like, oh my God, who wrote this thing? Jesus. And so when the guy died, when the father died, I'm like, oh, now it's on, now it's on. And then it just cut to black. I think I was sitting with Ikiade in the cinema, and I was like, wait, is that the end? I, I did not believe it. I honestly did not. Sorry. I saw this at the world premiere in Paris last month. So I did not believe it. I honestly did not believe it when it cut to black. I said, no way. So I would draw him to a moth to a flame. He sets the fire who we don't the father who we don't care about on fire. Immediately after the doctor just left, like the doctor just walked off the screen for like 2 seconds and then a van entered. I'm like, wait, the doctor is still on this road right now. Like he's still like 3 meters away from this bus. There's no way. But then he had enough time to enter the house, burn the guy. The guy that was about to die suddenly had all the power in the world to come out, run outside. And I was like, what, who is this father? I don't care about him. So what will Sabah do now? And then the movie ends. I thought it was very disappointing. I'm guessing that the director wanted to make us think I want the audience to think about what might. No. This is not the kind of thing I'll source. You have to think it for me because I'm not going to do it. You have not written the story up to a level that I am going to be like, ooh, this is so nice. I like this cliffhanger. I wonder how it can be interpreted. There's no way it can be interpreted. You killed his father. You're supposed to kill. So you now killed his father and then left the house. Why did you not just wait? I was so confused. Oh God. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a bit this thing because when I was watching it, it was the only movie I had seen that day. So I was hoping that it was going to be good, but man, it was really disappointing. I was a bit. Now I know. I think someone mentioned that he did the Green Fever. I remember I tried to watch the Green Fever. Again, nice aesthetics and this wonky, very wonky storytelling. Where it always seems like maybe three script writers were in three different rooms writing different parts of the movie and they never met. That's usually how I think these person's movies are like, which I think is quite sad because the aesthetic and the visual flair, it grows on you. You kind of like it, you like the vibes, but it's just so sad that the flames just petered out.
Oh, like a real reviewer. Like the flames just fitted out. Okay,
Oh, by the way,
okay. I hear you.
sorry, Yoko Critic, shameless plug. I attached the link to my YouTube review on this thing, on this stuff. When I saw it, I saw it with Olumoto and some other movies, so I did a review. So if you don't mind, guys, you can check it out on YouTube.
All right,
Thank you.
check a quiz review. I'll put up on the thing. Okay. Praise, do you want to tell us some of the things you do not like?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to start with the CGI fire. Let's just put that out there. It was such a dent on the visuals, like Elizabeth said. It was such a dent, like experiencing that beautiful cinematography and then the fire looking like crayon, like a child like drew on it. So I just want to put that out there. Secondly, I did not care about the characters at all. I didn't feel connected to characters. I didn't care about the characters. So even when his dad died, it was just like, even him at some point, if he felt like he didn't care about his dad, to be honest, to me, at some point, it felt like he didn't even care about his dad. So, and I think because the characters, I didn't care about the characters, the stakes were not really there. Like on a normal level, say this, I maybe the stakes were set up, but you do not really see them. You do not really care about them. Things happen in the film, but things are not really, really happening in the film. Things are just sort of like going on, and you're just like, ugh, just it feels like such a shrug. Like things are going on, but you don't really care about what is going on. And I think it ties down to not caring about the characters. There is not a lot about them that we even know. Maybe even if you go, even the Saba, there's not a lot I know about the Saba except okay, he do legal business. His dad is dying. I think that's just the two things I know about him. Not even in. I felt like maybe in his conversations with Ini, maybe you get to see more of like his characterization, but I didn't get that at all. Down to the Terminator guy, I didn't know anything about him. Nothing. We absolutely knew nothing about him. Somebody was even saying that why was he just moving around Nigeria and he's not from Nigeria? And I said thank you because I didn't even see him use Google Map, and it doesn't even seem like we're in present day where he could even use Google Map. So like he was just like moving around, but like I didn't know anything about him, and I found. At some point, it felt intriguing that I didn't know anything about him, but I felt like if I did, it would add to the story. And by the time it ended, I was just like, in my head, I was like, okay, maybe they want to do a sequel. But even if they wanted to do a sequel, I think a movie now that I would use is Dune 1. So there was definitely going to be like a sequel or follow up. And the whole of the beginning of Dune 1 was a lot of setting up. But like you could feel the stakes, you could understand what is at stake. Like you could everybody's characters, you get what their characters are about and all of that stuff. But in this one you don't really get anything. So my problem with it really is just to round up is the CGI fire, the fact that I didn't care about the characters. I didn't really know the characters at all. And the stakes were not really there. They weren't felt. Even when they shot him at the end, when the dad died, nothing. I just felt I just felt like, oh well, sorry to your dad, and then the ending, he's crying there, and I just didn't feel anything. Sorry to that man. So, yeah, that's it.
Praise. I apologize to the man. Thank you. All right. Matt, do you want to tell us some things that you do not like about the Fire and the Moth?
Yes, I do. There's this pop culture meme where they're always saying beautiful gowns, beautiful gowns. That's how I felt about this. Everything was beautiful, but I just did not know what I was watching at some point. And like, again, character motivation was out the window. And for me personally, the biggest crime is I just don't know that I wasn't aware of how much time was passing in between events in this film. Like from the start to when Francois, which is pretty much still the beginning, when Francois says, oh, go tell the Terminator guy, go and look for XYZ, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. His time has passed, blah, blah, blah. There's a 7-week delay. There's no sense of urgency that makes me believe that there's actually this 7-week delay. It feels like a 24-hour delay at most. Doesn't feel like a 7-week delay. Doesn't feel like there's nothing that makes me feel like, oh my goodness, there is urgency to show that 7 weeks has passed and he has to deliver what he needs to deliver to this white man that is in African business. Nothing to show for it. So like when the guy is now there trying to kill everybody, burning them, it just doesn't feel justified to me. It doesn't feel like an explanation is required, but like nothing is given to me anyways. Nothing. There's nothing. And then there's a lot of inconsistencies in their character behavior because again, in Idima, a man is bleeding in your bathroom, and the first thing in her head is, I want to tend your wounds. Ha. Nothing else comes to her. It's just, I have bandage, I have plaster, I have spirits. Let me do something on you. It just doesn't feel right. And with Saba's motivation being his dad, honestly, if he were a child, I would even get it. His dad is already older and grey. That man can die and I wouldn't give a toss. Yes, it's his daddy. He will cry for a little bit. He will move on. He will sell the bronze head. He'll get money. He will move away, whatever, whatever. It just doesn't, that can't be the driving force for why Saba really, 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 really wants this bronze head. It just cannot be because that man was, I think someone said he was a prop. That man could have been that man was a prop because he died and I was like, all right, next. And then the Terminator guy is just a psychopath. I don't even think he wanted to deliver the bronze head to the white guy. He just was there for the fire and for killing people, which none of it makes sense because the bronze head doesn't get back to the guy. It just doesn't make sense. None of it made sense to me. But again, beautiful gowns. That's all I can say. Beautiful, beautiful gowns. But the rest of it,
All right. Thanks, Matt. A lot in there. A couple more comments have come through. In fact, let me read Incon's own because she wasn't able to say her likes and her dislike. But Incon's like was imagery and thought it was well acted and stayed in the same tone. What she didn't like about it was story is very surface level tale of greed. The music was too much. Very confused about very confused about the powerful faction of the police, I guess. And the dialogue seemingly tries to be poetic without connecting to what is actually happening. It is clear more attention was paid to visuals than the writing. All right. Let me see. All right, Mrs. C, do you want to say your own, and then I'll read some other comments that did not like this.
Yes. Okay. What did I not like? I'm going to be echoing what a few people have said, but it really did feel unfinished. It wasn't unsatisfying. It was unsatisfying, but it wasn't just that. It feels like it was unfinished. And I don't know. It does feel very much like a writing problem, I guess. And I think I was talking earlier with Mr. CM, which I was just drawing parallels to a green fever, because that's also how it felt. And it just and it's becoming a Taiwo thing, right? For the films to basically be unfinished. So it's what I said earlier with I somewhat like the tone, but I think he's chosen this style that I wouldn't mind or I wouldn't be mad at if he finished it. But it's never finished, and that was really, really just unsatisfying for me. Um, I was somewhat confused about. I think there was everyone talks about the cinematography and all that, and I'll leave like a lot of the detail on the cinematography to Mr. C. But I remember like this scene. There was a scene where he was going to the. There was a police. Something happened, and I just said that's jarring. There were just a few things that were jarring, and it was just within one frame. So I don't know about all the love for the cinematography because some things were jarring. Someone mentioned the flames, very, very much jarring. Just some of the choices that were made as well, right? Okay, someone with a flamethrower is cool, I guess, but does it work for the film we're in and for the kind of mission this person is on? Like, apart from just being a psychopath, right? Is this efficient? We're going to draw the parallel to people have drawn the No Country for Old Men. Oh, No Country for Old Men parallel, right? Like he also had an unusual weapon, but it was, how do I put this? Sure, if you see someone walking around with it, it looks out of place, but it's not a loud weapon, right? It just does the thing and moves on. A flamethrower is very conspicuous. There was this scene where he was flambeing someone in the bush at night. And I was so confused as to why we were flambeing someone in the bush at night, considering like a scene earlier, he was shooting people with a silencer, or at least it sounded muzzled, right? So are we drawing attention to ourselves or are we not? Because you cannot tell me someone being grilled in the bush at night didn't raise any flags while it was happening. I feel like they tried to preempt this problem I have, but it doesn't work for me, that preempting. When our Terminator guy was speaking with Francois, and Francois was saying giving this whole spiel about cause chaos, whatever. I think that's kind of there to prep you for the Terminator causing chaos and leaving chaos in his wake. But it seemed so counterproductive because he wasn't sent off as a punisher. He was sent off to retrieve the bronze. And that seemed to be abandoned or to not really matter or to take a back seat to we're just going to kill some people and we're just going to make it kind of cool or try to make it kind of cool to kill people. And I say this because we end this film with him flaming an old man and just fucking off, right? Again, the bronze would have come to him if he just sat there, right? He'd found this guy's house. He sat there. My guy came. He could have sat there. But no, he flames him. He does this whole spiel about, I have now set the fire and I shall let the moth come to me. To you where? This guy can barely get out of that border town. He's not chasing you to goodness knows where for revenge. So what's going on? Does Francois not want this? What's it called? Bronze head again? Is he? Oh, now this is personal because Francois calling him, asking my G, what the fuck, and he's ignoring Francois and hanging up. I see what I mean by there were a lot of writing problems that really, really made it an unsatisfying watch. And one more thing is, I think someone mentioned like a lack of urgency. I felt like there was the passage of time started confusing me. And even though they spelled it out, the things that were happening within that time frame you've given me really threw me for a loop. I say this for a few things. One, the custom officer, William Benson's character, is sent to the village by Kepi's character after this robbery has happened, right? The robbery has happened. They've done the handoff, and we've ended up in that small town. Then this guy gets sent. He gets sent, and within a day or so, Kepi's character is telling him, "What are you still doing? Everyone has moved on." But then we find out it's only been 2 days. And I don't understand what you mean by everyone has moved on within 2 days or just after a day. The whole, it's been delayed. From all we see a delay of a few hours, right? We see a delay of a few hours. We know that Francois says, it's been 7 weeks. But again, it's been on the news that the museum just got robbed. So unless Francois doesn't read the news, his people have just come into possession of the bronze head. Why is the Terminator already being deployed? And just also, why are we killing the antique dealer? She's just trying to sell it to Francois. Again, writing problems, because I feel like things were happening and they wanted some things to happen and they didn't carefully weave the happenings or put it in a time frame that made sense. But yeah, I think my biggest problem with this was the writing, and I think the writing really let it down.
Okay, all right. Let me read some comments that have come through. Okay. Uchenna says, I agree that it didn't seem like he even cared about his dad. If anything, he acted like his dad was a burden whose illness was annoying him. Sheba says, there wasn't much I disliked, except that I didn't quite understand the immigration officer's character. What were his motivations? Was he in search of the smuggler, or did he just want to expose the bad cop? And if Saba was to suspect the smuggler, why was he let off so easily? Wolf of Upper Iweka says, things I didn't like, the lead's performance, the VFX, the plot was all over the place and became chaotic in the third act. But Buttressing Rotimi's point about convenience, the bronze head kind of starts moving around by itself towards the end of the film. Stephanie says, my bad, I couldn't root for anyone. No one's motivation were really explored enough for me to care. I wish the bronze got his own moments to shine. All right. Okay. So I think a lot of people again have mentioned the core issues. I'm probably just going to give similar takes. But let me start with some minor stuff. I think the injury, it felt the injury was just doing some convenient stuff. It was painful when it needed to be, and it was just like, and then sometimes we'll forget about it and we'll come back. It was just doing whatever it needed to do at the time. And honestly, it wouldn't be such a big deal for me if, they didn't like keep on bringing it back. It just kept on coming and going, and it was very. It just felt very unnecessary. It just felt very unnecessary because it kept on taking me in and taking me out of the film. It's like, do we care about this man's injury or not? Even though I liked Jimmy Jean-Louis' sort of facial performance, this is nothing he can do about it, but maybe they could have helped the lines and the dialogue. But I didn't like his voice for this. I just thought it's just a little more high-pitched and just not as menacing as the rest of his performance and his outlook was giving. And I don't think some of the dialogue he was saying helped either. So two biggest things or maybe three biggest things for me is like, number one is the dialogue. I agree a lot with Uchenna is that a lot of the dialogue I didn't like at all. The felt very cringe and just things I don't I didn't I couldn't stand. I remember the one that sticks out in my mind is William Benson, which he's a good performer. When he's doing it's kind of a monologue behind Olaroti Meets Back. I just found that whole thing awkward. He's basically telling him how he's not important. They'll just use somebody, like some people. It just felt very awkward because they hadn't established like the powers and the limitations of each of them. So like it's difficult to know what game we're playing, who has the actual higher power. Does Olaritimi's character have the power to deny William Benson's character from getting this the suspect? What are we seeing here? What does it mean? We don't know. We're just waiting for William Benson to tell us what is going to happen. And that's the problem with a lot of this, which brings me to my second point is I think I'm reminded of, I've probably mentioned it at this point in NFC, the difference between shock and tension. I think this is I can't remember if Alfred Hitchcock's, this is an Alfred Hitchcock quote where there's a difference between I show you, we're watching two people have dinner and then there's a bomb blast. That's shock. You're just watching two people eat and then the bomb goes. And then there's a difference between I show you two people eating, I pan the camera down and you see that there's a bomb ticking for maybe 30 seconds or a minute. I pan back up to the people talking. And even though like now you're watching the people talking, all your mind is just thinking about is the bomb underneath, and that's tension. Now, instead of you just following people's dry conversation, you're both following the conversation with the thing in the background that something's about to go off. But all of that has to do with establishing rules, and that's one of the things that this film fails to do a lot of times. The way you do this a lot is by showing things, showing motivations, showing rules, showing where the boundaries are. So like people have mentioned the bad guy from No Country for Old Men. And one of the ways that we feel tension in No Country for Old Men is, number one, feel like we're talking to characters. So the most famous, I think anyway, from No Country for Old Men is when he goes into this shopkeeper and this nutter sociopath is asking him how much he wants to bet on a coin flip, right? That whole conversation is happening whilst we know the killer is a maniac, right? But it's not just, he just doesn't come in and shoots the guy in the head. He comes in and he's having this conversation about what's the most he's lost on a coin flip, right? And the guy's character is so grounded and feels so real. He doesn't quite understand what's going on, and he's trying to get out of it awkwardly. And you can relate to this. This is what tension is like. So no matter, even though that conversation is going on back and forth, and he's trying to, not bet on a coin flip because it's like, what am I betting on? All of that is happening whilst we know that this guy is a sociopath who will kill him here. But we don't have that with this guy's character. This guy's character just kills people. He just kills people. There's like, even people that can help him achieve any goal, he just kill until he doesn't kill somebody. Where I'm like, why have you not killed this Inidima has this? Why I don't even know why you've even the small that he gave.
So I was like, why are we wasting time?
What's this time wasting there? Just shit. But like there's no tension. It robs you of the tension because he just goes in there and he just pops people. And that's the difference between something that feels suspenseful and something that's just shock, right? And you can only, that's the thing with shock. You shock you once, and that's, oh, okay, so that's this guy's thing. He goes in and he kills somebody. It's not that interesting anymore when he does it the second time and the third time. He kills Olarotumi's daughter. Like he just there. Like he just bang. He shot Olarotumi's daughter. There's nothing, there isn't any tension. It's just, it's going to happen. There isn't a lot of conversation in drawing it out. And then even people have mentioned the main, I can't remember what the main character's name is, the evangelist or pastor, and his dad. We don't know why this guy is stealing this thing in the first place for so long. I think it's like halfway into the movie until you find out that he's doing this for his father. And I'm like, the movie don't care about this father. The movie don't care about this father. Like, even to be honest, like there's a to quote online, there's a DIY part of the movie that I have done that is interesting, where maybe the pastor is like, he's gone through some things, and him and his father has found out, like, he's doing bad things, and because he's doing bad things, like his father has warned him away, and he's trying to come back, and he loves his father so much that even now that his father is sick, he wants to help him despite his father not really approving of him. And that dynamic is somewhat, but they don't. I've made a lot. I know there are things in there to lead you to that, but I've made too much of that up in my head, and they haven't put that on the screen and on the page. So I think that's the other thing, because now, again, if right from the start, this is the thing he needs to do, this is the time he has to do it in, all of this begins to matter. Oh, okay. So his father's on the clock. He needs to get the money in it. But like, we've watched almost half of the movie before all of this happens, before what's going on with his father and whether he has time to leave. But his father doesn't even want the help. It doesn't seem like the father wants the help. So it's so difficult to care. Like, I can't remember whose dislikes I read that said, oh yeah, it was Stephanie. She couldn't root for anyone. It's like, why do I care whether this guy gets the money or not? The father doesn't want to be alive, Seth. Don't care. So I think those kind of things in a movie that is trying to be this slow and like, that's not good. It can't be good where the motivations aren't that clear and the rules haven't been set up that well, because now what you're left with is just watching a slow thing, no suspense, no tension, just the first shock the one time, and not at all interesting. So I guess those are my big issues with it. I want to mention Inidima's acting, because I guess maybe this can be the start of the pushback. I didn't love it that much. I liked her look better, because like, she looked much more different. She didn't look like an actor who had been sort of dressed, who is put in a role. She really did feel like a character. But I still was getting sass from Inidima, where I didn't feel like the character needed to be given sass. Like, this is somebody who almost killed you. But I thought a lot of that was in the script, to be honest. Like, I don't know why she was challenging the guy that was in a very was in a good position to kill her. To be honest, I don't know why she's negotiating with this guy about. I don't know why any of this is happening. To be honest, like, Elizabeth said a lot of this, and even in the beginning, in her bad, where sometimes some things are happening. I'm like, I don't know why this is going on. I don't understand it at all. That whole bathroom scene, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, the way it happens. Even because he's supposed to be this morally gray character. I don't know why when people are coming in, when the person is saying, I'm not going to hurt you. That's not how you get the upper hand. Let them think it for a bit. this is a morally great character. Let them think it for a bit, and then later you show that you're not actually a crazy person who's going to hurt that. The first thing that comes out of your mouth can't. I am not going to hurt you. Well, why the fuck should I do anything? Get the fuck out of my house. That kind of thing. So anyway, I just thought the script was just not good. This is the dialogue, the plot. I just didn't. It didn't amount to anything. The ending, I have mixed feelings about the ending. But especially because I watched Green Fever and I know that this can be a Taiwo's. I'm not. I don't feel like giving it the benefit of doubt for the other side. The DIY I've done for it, but yeah. Anyway, that's the general gist for the things I do not like. Is there anything anybody disagree with other people? Or anything else they wanted to say regarding the Fire and the Moth? Oh, okay, cool.
Nobody's disagreeing here.
Yeah. We're all in agreement, violent agreement. I think we more or less said the same thing for this one. Like, it does a lot of time look very good. And the problem with it is mostly in the script and the
I would
writing.
push back to say that it does. I didn't think it looked that good, to be honest. But that's I think it's very subjective in my case. So
But for Nollywood, like this is but like look, everything. Are we not Nollywood Film Club? Excuse me. Everything we're doing is everything we do is for us. Like, yes. Anyway, hands are up. Okay, Rosmi, what do you
like
want to say?
what I mean is, okay, I'm sorry. I mean, somebody already mentioned the bathroom scene. I don't know why the bathroom scene is lit. Why the bathroom is always lit like a disco. I mean, I understand what they were going for, but a lot of it didn't work for me. And a lot of the greenery, it looked very flat. Um, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with my screen. I just didn't think it looked that good. I mean, it's it's competently shot, but I didn't see anything about it that I thought was a standout in terms of the cinematography. But again, like I said, it might be a very subjective thing. But
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it's not like we're not talking Mami Water levels of cinematography here, or like doing something that is more outstanding than anything else. It's just like it's a cut above a lot of things in Nollywood. It's not even the same discussion. But yeah, Rotimi, is there something you wanted to say?
Yeah. I can't even technically call it pushback. It's more of my own take of why this thing. There's a version of it why I have like my own why things like this turn out this way. And it's because things don't start from a character, then a story, then then the page, then let's shoot based on what we have. Let's go and find locations that fit this character, this story. What I see is that we have access to this place. There's a location. Oh, I can shoot here, I can shoot here. Oh, it won't cost me. There's a budget I have. So we realign a story, you understand, and a genre type that, we want to go into this genre to fit into that place we have access to. So it's kind of what strikes me most of the time when I see, when we talk about things on the page, whether dialogue, characters, everything. If you start out from the page, then this shouldn't be, it won't be, I won't say this bad, but like what will happen is that you start from production. What can we actually create and make come to life? What can we actually put on screen? That's what me, from my own experience, when I'm looking at it in a kind of reverse engineering, how does this happen? Because we are trying to figure out like limitations. And I think the only part when we come about the Nollywood part is like, which is like, this is why the empathy has to still be extended, because filmmaking is already difficult. But it's like, they say like, if making a film is like a war. But Nigeria is like, that's even like, it's beyond war. That's the World War V. Like, it's impossible because Nigeria itself, minus filmmaking, is already an obstacle. So I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying this is what's happening in my mind's eye. So it plays out that what's doing me is like, I am actually seeing the ironic thing is that like Taiwo's filmmaking. I didn't really even like Confusion and Wow. Film Fair, Green Fever, I was like, okay, I'm seeing what's happening here. But this is now, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it. So what I'm saying is that in his own personal directing, it's each iteration. I'm actually seeing it's getting better. It's not, I know what he's still trying to keep a particular approach, but he's getting it, improving, it's building somewhere. It's somehow as an audience person watching it. It's not the most exciting thing to watch it because it's not yet the full manifestation of the full stuff. And basically, I'm saying that okay, I have access to this greenery. The locations. Think about it now. You have some old school cars. The biggest production was probably the house that was in the white man's house. You have in the man's house one museum where that white woman is staying. So it's not the warehouse where those guys are staying. So I'm looking at it from differently from production. I'm like, okay, this is you don't have the cost of I'm going to one house in Lekki. I'm not shooting in Lagos with all the walla and touts. So you can see, okay, what kind of story can I tell here? That's what
But
I see.
what I want to ask is,
That's
what do you see
everything.
it
But
building to when you say it's building to something? I'm not sure exactly what you say it's building towards.
but it's so that's the thing. This is the part. It's Taiwo's directing. It's not the stories. It's not the films. His direction and the way he sees films and the influences that he has. That's why we immediately all of us can see that he's different from the normal Nollywood, but he's on his own unique path. So he's unique. There's something you have to give him that okay, he's different. But now it's like he's he
Yeah, but in
finalized.
service
He's
of
not yet.
what? I mean, if are as you have confessed,
He's in service
somewhat
to himself.
incoherent.
He's in service to himself
I mean,
as
you seem to be praising some degree the production value, or at least the resourcefulness of the production. But what is it in service
yes.
of if the screenplays are not really substantial?
So this is the thing about it for me. The mere fact that you can get anything on screen and get it done is already that's where it starts from. The level right now is that can you put something together? This is the way I look at it. I've seen people celebrate just for having their film out because it's like,
I mean,
oh,
I
how did I get my film
know
just to
what you're
come out?
saying in terms of what can you put together what you have, but it seems to me that instead of the production serving the screenplay is serving the
It's the service of the
production
production.
and not serving it very well.
Yes.
Like, okay, it's great. You have this house, you have this bush, you have this car. Let's make a movie, but there's no real story to it. So, is it that Taiwo needs to be an art director
That's what it's
rather
like. There's
than
a
a
genre.
director? Because if the story isn't really being told, but you're admiring the fact that he's able to get good locations and props, I'm just not sure what is being served.
Well, this is the point like this that like this me what me out. This is now when I said that when I'm breaking into three places. The mere fact that he has put together three films, there's a CV. When if you Google Taiwo, you'll see three films. It's if he has made three films, he's a filmmaker. He's a filmmaker. Anybody that's be able to put something together, no matter to what level, he's a filmmaker. Now, I'm not questioning like the quality or the love of them. No, but the point is that I have put together, constructed three films, and the three films are progressively getting better. So the point is that once you have done a film, somebody will say he has actually put together a film. If somebody was like, "Oh, Uchina, you seem to have an idea about filmmaking," the question will be like, "Okay, what have you shot before?" So even if you think maybe you know the idea of a better screenplay or better characters, everything, what will be the real test in the pudding is that, okay, what have you shot? The shooting is what is actually now more credible, that not the idea, the actual fact that what has been shot. A person that shoots has more credibility in the industry for the mere fact that he has shot. Not the quality of what the level you have shot, the mere fact that he has shot.
I feel like we're going off the like but
Okay.
yeah
Are you also assuming that I haven't shot anything?
No, I'm not assuming. I'm saying I'm using it as an example. Hypothetically, that's what somebody will ask. I'm not saying that's direct. I'm saying that hypothetically, that's what somebody will ask.
No, I hear it's just I don't even that's not even I mean like it's not a good pushback regardless. But because like I think the question is if we get all this the only point of the visuals and all of that is everything is to help the story achieve a certain its goal. And if it's not doing that, then what are we really doing? We're still missing the mark somewhat.
Exactly. And to be honest, this is a flaw that I've seen in a lot of Nigerian Nollywood focused film criticism, where people seem to praise certain devices of production without real the function they're supposed to serve. Like, you see a lot of when people discuss Nollywood, they'll say, "Oh, this film looks so different. It had some very interesting camera angles." Okay, it's great that it has interesting camera angles, but what were the camera angles saying? It's not just a matter of, putting the camera on the floor, looking up at the sky, or from the point of view of a fly, just because it's interesting to do it. Do you have something to say with that angle? Is that angle conveying something? That's what directing is about. It's not just about doing things just to do them because they look cool. That's what I call poor directing. That's the reason I said I didn't like the directing in this, because I saw a lot of things that were done to create an image to look cool, but they are not telling a story with that image. And I don't think that's good directing.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with you a lot, Jenna. There, I do think there's something for at least not doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, but like it only goes so far. In fact, it barely goes so far. It's for me, it's bare minimum. But it's something. It's something for me. It's nice that they haven't done the same thing that everybody else has done, but it's not enough. It's like, all right, so now what else can you build on the fact that you're not, putting the camera in the corner of the room and just doing the same kind of storytelling as everybody else? Do you have something else to say? But all right, I wanted to. A couple of other people have their hands up. Elizabeth, is there something you wanted to say?
Hi, so first I want to push back, and it's not a big pushback. It's just wrote to me. You keep saying confusion hour. It's not confusion hour. I think it's all our vibes you want to say.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
meant to make that correction. Yes, yes, yes. All right.
Okay, yes. So and don't are you trying to chase me, Mr. C?
No. Go ahead, go ahead. I thought that was everything you wanted to say.
Yeah, and then I know that I like that, we've come to the conclusion that the writing is the main culprit here. And whilst this is supposed to be a pushback, but it's not a pushback. And it's also not a summary, but I feel like I need to say it. I would like to see Taiwo direct a film that he did not write with his friend. Because honestly, if it's not that Uchenna mentioned this thing about, oh, this is how you write, I've totally forgotten that I watched All That Vibes, and that during our call on All That Vibes, I think All That Vibes was like 2023 or 2022, 23, I think. I can't remember. I had to go recall. This was the huge problem that I had then, but I think this time around, just because I had like really short time to watch and make up my mind on what I like or did not like while watching it, is that, and in the greater theme of, there is something he's trying to achieve, this grand thing that seems so elusive and doesn't seem to compound, is I would like to see him direct something somebody else has written. Maybe we will see. Maybe there'll be another direction to it. Maybe we would see. But all I'd say is that it feels like there's a messaging. And unlike other films where I would say, oh, maybe there is plot lines written on post-its and everybody's trying to join it together. This feels like there is a messaging. And it feels like, you need to arrive at that message rather than let the story and the set pieces figure themselves out to that journey. So it just feels like there's a laser focused message, and all of us just have to be there. And unfortunately, that's not how film is. We've talked about this, especially when your writing is not tight. I'm so sorry, people. Whatever your audience grabs or collects from what you have, there's nothing you can do about it. If your characters are not immersive, if they're not relatable, if nobody cares for the ending. Because me, I was just like, not to cry. You have the bros there, go and sell it, go right to the in the sun, to walk away. Or the person that they sent on a mission to go and retrieve bros there and just turn himself to hire killer. It just doesn't like maybe there is something that the writing, get somebody else, let them write for you. Let's see. Let's see if that's, maybe that destination is actually there.
Yeah, speaking of films that do something different, and I'd have to go back to it, but if not me, I remember on the vibes getting a lot of quite huge vitriol from us on NFC. And if anything ever gave you the impression that we were going to simp for things that were doing things differently, go listen to the Honor Vibes space. It's just we just did not let up. We did not let up on that film at all. I think myself included. I can't remember. But that was quite a vicious space because yeah, not just saying, "Oh, I'm doing something different" is definitely not enough. Alan, you have your hand up.
Yeah, first of all, I want to agree with Uchenna. Sorry, not a pushback necessarily, but I want to agree with Uchenna as regards the score for this. I think that's the word I was looking for when I was saying something just didn't work with the elevation of the suspense in this. Also, I really think that the only reason, first of all, the thing I was most scared of when I first saw the trailer of this movie was Tayo's acting, because I was like, "Eesh, what's he going to do now?" And then he basically did the same thing or something similar to what he did on Gangs of Lagos. So I don't know if it's so much he has gotten better or more of he had less to say in this. So that's why the acting just passed, because I was like, okay, I see what they're trying to do with this character. They just made him not say so much. So his acting was just there. So yeah. I think those are the main things I want to say. I've forgotten everything because there has been a lot of stuff said over and over. So yeah, those are the main things I
Wait,
can
I'm sorry.
remember.
Did you say you wanted to argue with me on the score or agree with me on the score?
I said I wanted to
Okay,
agree
I'm
with
sorry.
you on the
Okay,
score.
my sound cut out a little
Yeah,
bit.
sorry, I wasn't agree.
Okay, all right. Praise.
Hi. So mine is not really sort of like a pushback, but I think somebody mentioned where when Olabertimi came into the house and then when he saw like period blood and then he backed and he was just like, and I know the person was saying why would he do that, but for me when I was watching it I thought it was a comic relief and I thought it was such a man thing to do. Like men will always just talk about like nasty thing or see the nastiest thing, but with period they're always just like, oh my god. So I found that to be funny and I thought that gave him like a, I don't want to say humanize, more like mananize, more like humanize him, and maybe sort of give him a duality. And I think that before I even knew that I had a daughter, that like encounter made me feel like, oh, this man probably has a daughter. And men are just weird with periods, and I just thought that was like such a real like in touch thing to have happened. So yeah.
Well, I mean, if that was meant to be funny, they didn't sell it as funny, and that really comes down to what Mr. C said. That there's so much of the heavy lifting is left for the audience to do for themselves. It's like they're not really selling the point they make, but they want you to do the calculus in your head to make it funny or to make it dramatic or whatever the case may be. And again, that's just the problem with the writing.
Yeah, agreed with that. I didn't get funny from that, especially if I remember correctly. Probably the score at that time as well certainly wasn't feeling funny, but I could be misremembering. But yeah, if I think without doing like stock funny music, there's other ways that could have been played as comedic that it certainly didn't come across from me watching it. But if you took it as funny, that's okay. But I even agree with Ekwe, the way she was like leaning out with it just felt like it didn't make sense to me, sticking your head out like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on my period. Like, I don't understand what that means, sticking your head out of the bathroom. Yeah, anyway. Um,
Because she stayed. Please allow.
all right. Okay. I guess she's wearing a big white nappy and she doesn't want him to see the red blood stain. Okay. All right. Let's do a summary. Elizabeth, what did you think of The Fire and the Moth in summary?
Okay, so yeah, I'm here. So summary would be that even though I find it visually, aesthetically pleasing, the narrative ambitions are undermined by obvious significant gaps in the world building. There's a lack of not a lack, there are plenty lacks in the character motivation. Even the establishment of maybe believable stakes and consequences. It just this film just ultimately feels like let's say an exercise in style over substance. Sorry to say that. So it leaves you with more of questions than answers. You're confused, and obviously there's a sense of okay, we will a sense of unfulfilled potential. Let's put it that way. Anyways, let me just remind everybody that ambition is very crucial and is good in film scale and all that. But please give us a well structured narrative next time. So you can watch it, but I was bored out of my mind. So caveats, watch it if you're bored. You can DNF.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Alana, do you want to give us your summary?
Yeah, it was a decent movie. Nice performances, beautiful gowns, like Ma said. But yeah, it lacked urgency. It didn't have enough suspense, even though it was supposed to. So yeah, it's something you can just watch casually, just on a random lazy day. It's not, and I don't think it's something that maybe if you look away from the TV, you'll miss something. You won't miss much. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Alana. Uchenna, do you want to give us a summary of Fire and the Moth?
Okay, well, you know that my stock line when I find a movie unsatisfactory is that it's not for me, but it might be for someone else. This is the case where, to be honest, I really struggle to see who this movie is for, and I take no pleasure at all in saying this because, in general, I don't like dumping on anybody's hard work, and I actually do respect and admire Taiwo for his ambition and the distinctness of his vision. I really appreciate the fact that he's trying to do something. He's trying to really project, to build a world in a way that a lot of Nollywood movies don't. But I've not really found most of his works completely satisfying in that way. I do recommend that he looks into directing other people's scripts. I think that would be a good step forward.
All right. Thanks, Uchenna. Rotimi, you have a summary for us?
Yeah, so from based on Taiwo's work, from thank you for the correction. Thank you. Who corrected me? I think Elizabeth. All Now Vibes, Green Fever, now to this, The Fire of the Month. He's progressively he's getting better at whatever he's trying to do. He's just not there yet an audience, for an audience to really like the work. But he has a vision, a style, an approach. He has a vision as a director's voice that is developing, and you can see it. But it's not yet fully harnessed and grown. But you are seeing that with each project, the voice is growing louder and louder. And I would not mind to watch if he says there's another project. I would like, okay, let me see how far he has gotten. But everything that everybody has mentioned in terms of what they critiqued and found like not fulfilling about this film is actually right. But it's just his growth is on a path. And hopefully he will get there sometime soon. But it's just not great for somebody watching it. It's his path, but for an audience person watching the film is not a real great experience. That is you walking away and like, okay, I watched something. It's good for him though. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks Rotimi. Praise, do you want to give us your summary?
Yeah, so I think The Fire and the Moth is a beautifully shot film, but I really think that it's lacking in the story department. I think that a lot could have been done in the writing. I think that it feels very incomplete. And also there's something I should have said before, but I don't exactly know if it was critiquing something or if it's just for entertainment or it's like a watchdog or something. I couldn't figure out what they were going for with the film. But yeah, I think the film feels quite incomplete. But beautiful film though. Shuts up, awesome. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Praise. Mrs. C, can you give us a summary?
Yeah, I think Fire and the Moth was significantly let down by the writing. And I am going to echo Uchenna, suggesting Taiwo direct a film that's not written by him, or his friend, yeah, because the writing, the unsatisfactory writing has been a consistent feature of his films, and it detracts from, there's really something there. There's really something there, and the script always lets it down, and that's very sad. And also, just a side note, if you want to see cool flamethrower stuff, maybe watch Ballerina.
Yeah, it's weird watching. It's weird
watching Fire and the Moth last night and Ballerina this afternoon.
Yeah, watching Ballerina and Ballerina doing some flamethrower stuff that was absolutely fun to watch. Yeah, I don't know just who this scriptwriter is that people want. This magical Nollywood to find.
Man, I don't know much on that one. Maybe
just add another. Who, Jane? Oh god. Hey, maybe hit Africa up the Africa. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my summary is basically the same. It's almost similar to I'm interested in what my summary for Green Fever was. I maybe find this a little less frustrating than Green Fever, but still frustrating nonetheless. It's just I'm okay. I feel like I do have to criticize Taiwo, because I feel like he's the student with potential. There's some people you're just doing it because it's fun it's fun or whatever, you don't care about this. This person's going to be making this kind of movie for the rest of their life till they die, because they don't have any ambition to make anything better than that. This isn't, but Taiwo, there's something there, and that's why we need him to get a better script to work with, and let's at least start there. It's not like the directing is perfect as it is now, but we really need to start with a much better script, and hopefully we go from there. But yeah, for me, The Fire and the Moth was another frustrating watch, because where at least, again, it's very, I don't remember many Nollywood films that have done this really sort of wide lens areas where sometimes you're filming in bush, and sometimes you're doing a lot with not a lot of dialogue. I want better for you, Taiwo, and I want better for us, and that's basically why very, very comfortable saying yes. This is still not it. Please keep trying. All right, but yeah, that's my summary overall for The Fire and the Moth. Maybe money has something to do with some of the things, but I don't know. I wasn't there. All right, thanks everybody. Another fun conversation. I don't know what we're doing next week. We're almost close to our half year our half year break. So we'll let you know when that's going to happen, and then we'll come back hopefully rejuvenized. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks everyone.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.